Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you are doing well. This week's Parsha is Vayechi, and we're kind of finishing off the story of Joseph and Jacob. So, as you remember in last week's Parsha, Joseph's whole family has been reunited and they've now moved to Egypt. So, Jacob spends the last 17 years of his life living in Egypt with the rest of his family. And before he passes away, he blesses all of his children. And probably the most famous thing that occurs during this blessing is that Jacob blesses Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's sons that were born in Egypt, as the same as his sons. So Ephraim and Manasseh are also given tribe status. So when we talk about Ephraim and Manasseh, we always say Ephraim and Manasseh, but that's actually the opposite order of their birth. Manasseh was born first and Ephraim was born second. But we say Ephraim and Manasseh, and they're that order in the priestly blessing because of what happens in this week's parsha. So just a little quick rewind. Jacob spends the last 17 years of his life in Egypt. He blesses all of his children. There's a big procession, and they take Jacob's bones to Israel. And then Joseph also later dies and asks that his bones be brought back to the Holy Land. But of course, this does not occur until the Jews leave during the Exodus, like over 200 years later. And it's actually mentioned that during the Exodus, during the time of the first Pesach, Joseph's bones are with the Jewish people. I believe Moshe and Aaron are in charge of that in some way. So back to the blessing for Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, so first of all, when we bless our children on Shabbat, they are blessed to be like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Of course, the matriarchs, that makes sense. Women are. But boys are blessed to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. And we've talked about this before, but this is it's a really beautiful idea. So Ephraim and Manasseh were born in the land of Egypt, but as we learn from this, the whole issue with Joseph and his brothers, Manasseh knows how to speak Hebrew. Manasseh acts as a translator for Joseph and his brothers when Joseph is pretending not to know Hebrew. So they're raised in Egypt, but still Joseph takes the time to teach them Hebrew. And what we learn from this is that Joseph not only teaches them Hebrew, but he teaches them how to be Jews, even in the very secular, anti-religious society of Egypt. So Ephraim and Manasseh represent two kinds of Jews in Galut, in the diaspora, living outside the land of Israel. So Manasseh's name, I'm just going to go to this, to where Manasseh's name is defined. Manasseh's name is given his name because, quote, God made me forget the totality of my father's house. So that's the first name. Joseph is, has had a really hard time in Egypt, but he's having this child, and this child is helping him to forget how beautiful his life was in Israel. Not a great name. And then Ephraim, his name is given because, quote, God made me fruitful in the land of my oppression. Okay, so Manasseh represents one kind of Jew. Manasseh represents the kind of Jew that is living in Galut, living in the diaspora, and just never can accept that the place that he is good. He's always just thinking about, how this place that he's in is so different than the place that he's from, and that he wishes he could get back to this other place. And Ephraim is this person who is like, you know what? I'm not in the place of my people. I'm not in the place of my birth, but I'm succeeding here. And because of the skills and abilities that I have from my experience living back in the place that I'm from, I'm able to succeed here. But a character like Ephraim, the character of, oh, you know what? I was from a different place, but now I live in a different place and I'm doing okay, would maybe lose their Judaism, would maybe lose their connection to the Jewish people if they didn't have someone like Manasseh at their side. Manasseh is always reminded that he's not in a place of his birth, that he's not with his people. So we need these two characteristics, these two kinds of people. The one who recognizes that they're in a different place, but they can still succeed. And the other that realizes that no matter what they're doing in the diaspora, it will never be the same as if they're doing it in the land of Israel. And so I just like these, the way that Ephraim and Manasseh are talked about. Again, they're included in the blessing on Friday nights because they managed, in the frying pan of really secular Egypt to be good, wise people and to learn Hebrew and to learn Jewish ethics. And this is all just so impressive. And I think we all, living in Galut, living in the diaspora, have to think about these two characteristics and maybe try to walk the line of being somewhere between Ephraim and Manasseh. But yeah, I encourage you just to think about which one you feel like. Are you always recognizing that there are no Jews around me? I'm a Jew alone in the world. Or are you like, yeah, I'm a Jew and there's not many people around me, but this is what it gives me. Think about it and report back. Shabbat Shalom. God willing, I will see you all next week.